we chatted for a while, and he was just talking about, the things that have been going on most recently, and how, I don't know, it just seems like everything's been massive the last 24 hours. How about you? I just turned it on. It's going to take a couple of minutes.
I think I'm on the same train as you.
Well, the crazy thing is, I was just talking to Morgan. Hang on, let me tell her. She says she can't find it. Uh, let's see. Refresh. Oh, it's just coming on now. That's why. Is it on? Yeah, they're starting to come in. Huh. I'm just going to do this. Take a picture. I'm going to take a picture of you, Jenny.
Okay.
So I was just talking to Morgan about this because she just woke up in Australia. And first of all, she sent me a note last night. She said, I just out of the blue, I feel like I'm disappearing. And right before that had happened, I was sitting on the couch and I felt all this energy come up through my feet into my body. And I stood up and I said, what the hell? And then it felt like the floor was moving, vibrating. It felt like an earthquake. So then she sends me that note, and I went on to the YouTube studio to address comments on the shows, just to put a heart, just to give them recognition. And a lady said, Jason S. has said that the new year starts today. This is the exit of the matrix. I felt like I was disappearing. She said, I felt this energy going through my body. Then I felt like I was disappearing. She said the same thing that we were saying. Then we get on the show today with this guy, and he's talking about what he describes as the space between thoughts. He said, I've been in this for like 20 years, and that's the only way I can describe it. And as we're having the show, he would stop and go, oh, I forget what? And that's what Morgan's talking about. She said, where are you getting this evidence? Is it just me kind of thing? Because she's like, what the hell's going on? Right. And I said, no, I think this is what's happening. Get used to it.
Right.
How about you? Does that resonate with you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've reached a new level of normal a long time ago, but it's really the last 6 months, 3 months, certainly since November 11th.
Oh, yeah.
I feel that I can probably name conservatively 6 or 8 really extraordinary things that I've never felt before. I've had a lot of empty space. I can go days without having a thought unless I intend to take some action. And it's odd, but there's also a sense of imbalance. There's also a sense of not knowing who you are and wondering what your purpose is, wondering if it's all been worth it, wondering. And I always say to people that I work with anyway, do this in curiosity and wonder. Don't take it too seriously and don't try to figure it all out. But yeah, one of the strangest things I have felt, and I would say 4 or 5 times now, in the middle of the night, 2, 3 in the morning, you're just sort of laying there in the emptiness, right? And in my mind, my screen adjusts as if I have on sort of virtual reality goggles, and the focus is being, zoom in, zoom out, tilting, shaking. That's easily happened 4 or 5 times. And my abilities have definitely grown, have become more refined, more elegant. So yes to everything you're feeling. And I think we all have we come from unique soul families. We have unique experience. So different strokes for different folks.
No, I think it's the same stroke for all the folks. I think that's what's happening. I'm laying in bed after she sent me that note. It's about an hour later, and I lay down. I didn't even try to connect. I just started like I felt like I was being pulled into something. I thought, wow, this is weird. And the next thing I know, I felt, and I thought about Morgan's comment. I thought, wow, am I disappearing? Because I could feel all this vibration
Mhm.
with like a magnetic vibration.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I know, I never went to sleep, but it's like I opened my eyes, figuratively, maybe literally, and I went, what the hell just happened? And it had been an hour and 45 minutes. And I felt like, and I remember one part I was just going, slow down, slow down. So there was like this huge presence and I don't know, energy or code or entities or something. So this is going down.
Yeah. The electromagnetic vibration, yes. Once it happened and I thought, oh, is there something turned on in the bedroom? And I jumped out of bed and then feet on the floor, felt the same vibration coming up through my feet, went to the kitchen, same energy, same vibration, went out, same vibration on the earth. So you can't get away from it.
Man. And she woke up at 4 and she was in that state of like, what is going on? So she tuned in and she was shown time as we know it in real time, and then she, was kind of guided to merge the two. So when you said imbalanced and then balance, it's weird. It's like a new balance, which is creating it's weird.
Right.
But it seems like it is merging, like it's palpable embodiment at the physical body level.
And some people say we're accelerating through the densities or dimensions, and I have felt that, and I certainly hear many people describe their perception of it, just layers of cellophane lifting or flying through, clouds or flags sort of hanging in the sky and just blowing by flag after flag after flag. I perceive energy and consciousness and unfortunately interdimensional beings. So at these new levels, the last few months, I've definitely perceived a new level of possibly fourth density astral energies and beings. So it's been pretty interesting.
Well, another thing that's happened to me, I think this goes back about, I think maybe Friday night. And that's another thing. It's hard having a conversation.
Yeah.
It's hard talking. I had to make a list in the kitchen last night. I was making this list of, I got to get this. I never do that. I keep it all right here, but I was writing everything down. See, now I forgot what I was saying. Oh, I was sitting on the couch and I saw this black figure move by. And I've seen things before, and I thought, well, that's trippy. That's kind of dark. Now I'm not into the dark and light thing, but it was like that kind of energy.
Yeah.
But then about 2 or 3 minutes later, I saw a white kind of like, mist, and I've seen that type of thing before. And then I don't know what happened, but yesterday, I think it was yesterday, I was driving, and in about a 5-minute period, I saw like 6 or 7 different things. And I thought, did I see that? Did I see that? Did I see that? But obviously I did. So yeah, there's more coming into our field of vision because of our frequency. So you deal with certain things that you were talking about, like you're accustomed to seeing different entities and energies and such. Mm-hmm. Are you seeing more of that?
Definitely. Absolutely. And having more people calling me saying that this is new for them, that they've not perceived this before, asking. One conversation sticks out in my mind. I think it was yesterday or the day before, and said, how can I difficult situation in a family dynamic, and how can I handle this better? And the answer that was given to her through me was, be more fluid, allow flow through you. You know, find the places within us that those frequencies or energies resonate, and forgive it or let it go, so that we can be more fluid and not like Velcro.
Yeah. Almost like, so when you're in meditation or you're just in that state, it's becoming more common for all of us, that space between thoughts. So what happens when you're in the space between thoughts? You watch the thoughts go by.
Right.
Right. And so if you look at it, it's the same thing. I get what you're saying, because a lot of people have been talking about in the previous months, walking in two worlds. And so like in this state, you would just be, the difference would only be you're watching people instead of thoughts, right? That's fluidity. Is that what you're picking up from it?
Well, the specific question was, how can I handle the intense emotion or energy relative to a family dynamic? And,
Hmm.
you know, if we have matching wounds with someone, or energies that attract us to another because we have similar beliefs, you know, unworthiness or doubt or something, we can trigger one another, or we can intensely feel the other's pain, shame, guilt, etc. So the question was, how can I maintain my own energy such that I'm not affected by another person's, you know, negativity or negative perception? And this person's guidance was, be more fluid, less
Yeah.
resistance, less rigidity. When we feel like we have to have shields up, when we feel like we have to be protected from it, instead of allowing it to flow through. And then one other piece for this particular person was attachment to outcome and expectation. And
Mm-hmm.
boy, you know, we could talk about that from the beginning of the conversation. We don't know what to expect, so we have no attachment to the outcome. We're you know, here saying, hey, we incarnated here and we're ready. You know, we're on the roller coaster ride with everybody else, and let's see what happens. And this is going to be fun. Buckle up. But when
Mm-hmm.
you're constantly bracing and afraid, and my soul had some of that. You know, my soul said, I'm tired. I don't know if I can do this again. You know, I had some of that. And because many of us have made bodhisattva vows and come back and been through these cycles many times. So for me, just like my client, that created a fair amount of resistance in me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot of people that are tuning in that can relate to that.
Mm.
That whole, I'm not from here. Why
Mhm.
is it like this? And of course, the get me out of here, beam me up, I'm done. We've all had those so many times. But I mean, like I was just thinking as you were talking too about, being rigid, feeling your muscles contract. It seems like too, especially these last few weeks that you were talking about, my body's communication is so much stronger. Like I'm getting what it's saying. Like, are you noticing that you're tensed up? Why are you tensed up? I've been having problems with my lower back, just muscular. And I'm going, why is this happening? I haven't had this happen in years. And it's just feels like stuff just getting worked out, like literally at the physical level. I was even putting some CBD balm on my back, and I felt this bulge at the tailbone. Like that's where it was coming from. And as I was rubbing it and just massaging it, I was getting like, this is actually physical. The physical density just has created a mass. And I was just kind of being guided just to keep doing this and work it out at all levels, including the physical. There's something definitely happening. I guess it's embodiment for all of us.
Absolutely. The more we release the trauma, the more we release the guilt, the fear, the anger, the disappointment, the more the soul can descend down through the nervous system, and we can embody more, a higher percentage, a greater percentage. That's our, is to embody our souls.
Well, it's happening.
Oh yeah.
It's happening. It's actually happening. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. And I would agree with you. Very true that I have been much more aware of the conversation from the consciousness of my body, what to eat, what not to eat, when to stop eating, whether to take certain supplements or not, whether to get on my elliptical exercise machine at home or not, whether to go outside and be with my horses or not, whether to rest.
Right.
You know, I've been called to rest a lot. I know many of us are just so exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, these last 3 days, especially last 3-4 days, especially the last 24 hours, it just seems like we're moving extremely fast now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to the point where it's not going to be able to be a secret, or it's not going to be something that isn't known amongst each other.
Yeah. The healing I'm witnessing with my clients is happening so fast. It makes me cry. It makes me cry happy tears. And I hang up, you know, and I walk into my husband's office and I say, if I could not have imagined meeting such incredible, beautiful, amazing people. And I say this every day. Like, how did I get so lucky to witness this? But what I'm witnessing is an amount of healing that a decade ago, it would have taken me 6 months to accomplish. And they're releasing energy like it's nothing. It's really beautiful. And the pains, the random pains, you know, wherever we have a pain, put your hand there and ask, what am I resisting? What was I meant to learn through this experience? What am I not letting go of? Who haven't I forgiven? You know, some really simple questions we can ask ourselves. What does this represent? You know, you'll hear fear, hopelessness, resentment, guilt. I mean, these are all wonderful strategies and tools that we can use every day.
Yeah. 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 And that's another thing too with the body. Because we were talking on the previous show about the mental, you know, and we were talking about, I guess you could say, self-talk. Like, I've been doing a mantra the last 2 nights just because I was just kind of guided to do it. Right. But I mean, I always, through the years, like since say 2012, you always heard about multidimensionality, and you'd have lucid dreams, or you'd have a dimensional experience or an out-of-body experience. But I never thought of multidimensionality in terms of the human entity, right? I mean, the body has a voice. The mental is a voice. The emotional is a voice, right? I mean, I didn't expect it. I never expected for my body to be coming in as loud and clear as it is. And it just seems to be moving extremely fast.
Well, it's all consciousness, the subtle bodies. The emotional body has a consciousness. The mental body has a consciousness. The astral body, the physical body, it's all consciousness. I've been perceiving consciousness everywhere since my near-death experience. And it's really important. I'm glad you brought this up, Todd, because a lot of the healing, and I think we talked about this last time we spoke, a lot of the healing that I paid for when I was first on my journey was not complete. It came back, and it felt like I kept addressing the same issues over and over, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I found on the way was, well, these issues or beliefs or unforgiveness or blame or what have you exist on many levels, exist in the emotional body. There's emotion and judge to it. There are blueprints in that energy field. It exists in our DNA. It exists in the cellular structure, the water, the blood, the spinal fluid, the molecules of liquid in our body hold cellular memories. So if someone comes in and says, oh, I'm going to, clear your DNA or what have you, and they didn't clear the cellular memory or the crystalline memory in that liquid in your body, as soon as you walk out the door, the crystalline memory starts telling your DNA, well, hey, actually, you're wrong. I still have this pattern, and it reverts. And that happened to me a lot. It was quite an education on my journey. And one of the craziest things I experienced, and a decade ago, I spent a lot of money on this, was people saying that they were going to activate my DNA. And it didn't take me too long to find out nobody can activate our DNA from the outside.
Right. Everything happens from the outside. I mean, from the inside. We had this lady on yesterday, Elizabeth Wood, which was quite amazing, total ET. But she was talking about, even at the level that in our bodies, how each cell has its own consciousness, its own, this is all communication and collaboration, right? I mean, she was talking about even like an inanimate object, how these atoms have agreed to do what they're doing. I mean, she was taking it very deep. She was an anthropologist, kind of a cosmic anthropologist, but she was degreed, well studied, living on a mountain that she just bought in Guam. I mean, in Ecuador. I mean, there's just so many facets to what's happening, but it just feels like, how it used to be like, it felt like we take 2 steps up, 1 back, 2 steps up, 1 back. It felt like that pace. Now it doesn't feel like, it feels like we're falling back and moving forward at the same time. Like you're getting the lesson and the object of the lesson and the activation or the graduation all at the same time. And it just keeps coming. There's no real pause. Because even when, like you said, when you get tired, so many people have talked about that, it just comes in the middle of the day. Next thing you know, you're laying on the couch. There's still stuff going on.
Right. I really resonate with everything as consciousness. After my second near-death experience, I began to communicate with consciousness. I didn't know what it was. I just thought I was just hearing voices. And it was the consciousness of plants, of animals, of people's bodies, soul. Their words would say one thing and their soul would say another, or their heart, their broken heart, would say another. People's animals would ask me what was wrong with their owner. What can you tell me more about this? Yesterday, I had a woman doing a massage on my horse, and she asked me to talk to her horse while she was here at my house, and I did. And her horse asked me to explain what her physical condition was. And I said, well, you have a lot of energy in your throat chakra that's stuck, and your consciousness is trying to raise and express at a higher level through you, but you need to clear the throat chakra. And she said, oh, the condition he's asking about is my neck, because I have so much pain in my neck, and none of the doctors, chiropractors can explain it. And I said, well, I'm explaining it to you right now. And it was just fascinating. And hearing the trauma, I can hear the trauma in the nervous system. I can hear what psychologists call wounded inner children, these different archetypal personalities that many of us have. And it was kind of crazy making for a while, but I was convinced right away everything was consciousness, because I couldn't get away from it. And I still can't today. And I think you're right. That's where we're all going. And we will get to a place where we can't hide our trauma from one another, which is why we're gathering in groups of people who are invested and dedicated to this journey.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about leveling the playing field. Where you can't deny it. I mean, it's not just the traumas, it's everything. Everything's being seen for what it is.
Yeah.
I'm watching it happen on different platforms that I keep tabs on, just, and just what in an effort to, just kind of be in touch with things. And you can see, regardless of the subject, you can feel the truth frequency. I mean, it's bigger than us. there's something going on in the space between us all it's doing its thing, and we're basically not even, I don't think, even being given a choice to align with it. I think the days of saying some people are asleep are going to, I don't know, it's questionable. Is that actually going to even happen? Or is it not all of us? I think it's fascinating to think, well, could an entire planet transcend death? And then what's that like? Are we going to see all the people that have transitioned standing right next to us? Are all those team members that support us, that we all feel and communicate with, or most of us? I mean, we all do it. It's just all done differently.
Right. And what if we're standing next to all those who weren't that supportive on the way?
And find out we're just as close to them or closer than, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like to see it's almost like we're having a big play and everybody takes their mask off.
Right.
It's pretty wild. These last 3 days, this last 24 hours have been wild to me.
Yeah. I definitely woke up this morning wondering what I did all night, that every cell in my body was exhausted.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it changes every single aspect of our life. Like how you talk to people, if you talk to people, when you talk to people, having a conversation is difficult.
Our priorities are shifting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
was
see it
teaching.
too. Go ahead.
Oh, pardon me. I
No,
was teaching.
There's a lag. That's why we're interrupting. But go ahead. Go.
I was teaching a class recently, a 6-month class, and I got 2 months in, and I woke up one morning and my soul said, "This is not what you need to be focusing on right now." And I refunded over $9,000 to people with a huge apology. And I said, "I'm sorry. Maybe we'll do the class next year." This was recently. And it's my passion to, to teach and to share about humanness and consciousness and where our thoughts come from, and give people meat and potato tools. But even though it's my greatest excitement, my true passion, it just wasn't the right time.
Yeah. Doing things is difficult.
Yeah.
Getting
And
up
a
from
huge
here.
leap.
Go ahead.
I just want to say, huge leap of faith to follow that guidance. So I'm really encouraging people to follow your inner compass, follow your guidance, because we are being guided, even though we feel like we have no idea. We have blindfold on, we have no idea where we're going, right? We are being guided.
Wow. My whole body is lit. Every cell in my body. I can't even believe I'm sitting here talking to you. Do you think we'll get used to it? I mean, I've said this for a long time, and half kidding, the hardest thing is getting used to our natural state, but I mean, now I'm, it's kind of like eating your words, or, I mean, manifesting something, but it's a strange, I think you said like an imbalance. It feels a bit like an imbalance, but at the same time, there's this underlying thing that just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, very slow, very steadily, that everything is just right.
Yes. There's a peace. There's a peace.
Yes. That's the right word.
And it's totally incongruent with my constant striving to be balanced, and the tendency to want to understand, or to want to know, or to want to be able to explain to people what's happening.
Tom says, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
To feel such a sense of peace and confidence, and like we're going to be fine no matter what, but yet have that old sort of way of thinking that if I'm out of balance, something must be wrong. Oh, my voice is getting a little coarse. I must need to clear myself. Let me excuse myself and go outside. It's just happening.
Yeah. So our brother Tom Gilligan, he says, do you think a fish had to get used to water? And I love Tom. He's incredible. But I started thinking, oh, that's pretty interesting. But it's almost like we were a fish in a fishbowl, like a very confined fishbowl, and we got dumped into the ocean. And so where you had this natural conditioning of swimming in a small circle, at one point it comes to you that, you're outside that circle, and that to me kind of fits. Like mind blown. Now you got a whole ocean.
Right. Well, I've asked many questions, as you can imagine. We've all asked questions, well, what is happening? What's going to happen? The greatest answer I ever heard was, we're like the pioneers going over the Rockies in the covered mountain. Nobody knows. And then, crazy things happen. Like I'm getting a massage, and I didn't realize it, but the woman giving me a massage was also an energy worker. And she got real worried, and she said, what's going on with you? Where are your chakras? And, I didn't want to seem alarmed. So I'm like, well, what do you mean? What do you see? And she said, space. And I just real casually said, well, aren't we space? I mean, every day, the colors, the energy, the shape, it's all shifting.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, at a science level, that, this laptop is not a stationary object, right? And it's like the same thing's happening. That, but it's actually happening. Things are moving, so to speak. And I'm being somewhat metaphoric.
Mm-hmm.
But these things that we talked about and heard, they're all coming true. And telepathy. Telepathy keeps everybody straight, or will keep everybody straighter. Let's put it that way.
I was sitting in my office the other day, and I was really focusing on just trying to really meditate and focus. And I hear peanut butter. And I open my eyes and I look around, and I hear my husband on the in the other room on the other side of the wall. And I got up and I said, honey, what were you just thinking about? And he said, I'm hungry. Well, were you thinking about having anything in particular? I was thinking about having toast with peanut butter. So sometimes it comes in little spurts, and sometimes it's full downloads. It's not just sentences, it's just a knowing.
See, you said two things now. I've purposely kept peanut butter out of my house because I have a addiction to it for probably 2 years, certainly as long as we've been here. And I had to have a jar of peanut butter. And then the other thing is, you just made this comment about crossing the Rocky Mountains. And last night I was in the kitchen preparing juice for today and just, doing stuff around the kitchen. And I put on a video about Lewis and Clark's expedition. And there was the part about they were looking for the Northwest Pass, and they had to cross over the mountains, not knowing what was on the other side. These little synchronicities, they sound like they're just coincidence, but they're not. It's all like, coming into what people used to say, like the one original timeline, or the one true original timeline. But
Right.
that has so much more than what's happening today and what's going on. It has to do with all of our senses and our higher senses.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you mentioned the timeline. I recently had a friend text me and say, I'm sorry we can't be friends anymore. Me and my husband are going into a different timeline than you. We just wouldn't be in our full integrity if we remained friends with you. And I just responded, well, thank you for telling me. But my question was, well, where am I going? I mean, aren't we all merging together, humanity going to the same place?
Absolutely. And your friend, I mean, that obviously, she was going to another timeline. I
I
mean,
don't know.
there's still, I don't know. I won't go there on that. But I mean, and that's another thing too, is like this whole thing about what you were talking about at the top of the show. Part of that, watching the thoughts go by and being fluid in interacting with other people, like she couldn't do, I guess. You could say that as an example. But there's something about that's becoming natural. It's not like we're doing it ourselves, but we can help ourselves. You know what I mean? I mean, it's happening. You can see it if you're looking. And I think a lot of the people that I connect with, I guess, just throughout the day, or pick up their energy or whatever, they're doing stuff that 10 years ago, including myself, including you, that would have been really weird and far out. Like they're not attached to the global narrative or to or for as long. You know what I mean? I mean, they're really coming into their own in terms of what do I want? Who do I want to be with? And part of that too, I think, is that whole good pressure of we're just kind of being made to be present, and that is all there is.
Right. Being present, I think you're right, Todd. And I think you've said it several times in the last couple of days, has brought a whole new meaning.
Yeah.
The presence, the awareness in the present moment.
Yes.
Completely different.
Yes. You're not thinking about yesterday. You're not thinking about tomorrow. Morgan and I just went through this yesterday. She had some stuff going on in her life, and it was just like today. It's all about the frequency of you now. Like, to me, that makes a lot of sense. Like, there's a part of me that's a little bit stir crazy. I'm used to traveling around, and I haven't been rooted in years. We've been here a year and a half now. She's not here, so I'm by myself. I'm doing my work. I spend all my time alone, but that's pretty common right now. And there's a part of me that wants to go out and chase the world by, its tail. But there's something else that's just saying, why are you even thinking about that? And then I'm brought right back.
Todd,
I feel like we're getting used to it. Huh? Go ahead.
Someone asked a question, and I don't have my glasses on. I can't read it.
Okay. So Ravenheart wanted to know, when you heard peanut butter, was the voice outside of your head or inside? I was just curious how that sounds, how that sound comes.
Well, in order to hear it, it would have to be in my energy field. So my understanding of how energy is exchanged, it depends on at what level we are receiving the information. Because I've had a near-death experience, I receive at the higher self level, or 8th chakra, crown chakra level, where the symbols come in and are interpreted at whatever level I am supposed to receive them. So it might be a knowing, it might be a color, it might be hearing, and this was thought. So it was a thought that I heard, that I then inquired, is this mine or is this someone else's?
That's pretty deep, but I can follow you on it. Yeah. God.
There are a lot of people, 100 ways, 101,000 ways, to explain anything. So many different spiritual philosophies, so many different perspectives. And I've heard a majority of them, I think. And there are some people with some really strong perceptions of how communication takes place. you know, that thoughts create pictures and we exchange pictures, etc., especially the way animals communicate. And I find that it's different for every single person. We all have psychic abilities. According to our level of consciousness, we are open to communicating at different levels of awareness, utilizing different abilities. And so it's different for everyone. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not one that believes that we can teach someone else how to be like us. We can help empower people how to remember, you know, their own gifts and abilities, their own perspective, open to their own level of consciousness and perception.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, too, this obviously is a very universally seeded planet with
Mhm.
probably millions of different genetic links to millions of different species, so to speak. But
Mhm.
and that in that respect, there are certain characteristics or attributes that each genetic line brings, and some are more prominent than others, in some than they are others. So that's another thing, because you see people that are like, yeah, we were talking about earlier on the other show about breatharians. Like, I don't know if that's in my blood,
Mhm.
but there may be a segment of the population that steps into that arena first, right? I mean, there's just a universal makeup here. So that's what I was going to ask you. With this, all these things that are happening characteristically, such as judgments lessening, that space between thoughts, the forgetfulness, the not focusing on yesterday trauma or tomorrow's dream, you know what I mean? Just being present. Do you feel like like a reverence, like you can't fake these things? You can't fake humility, you can't fake integrity, but like a reverence, a true reverence for being here, like being a human being, like this is badass in the multiverse. Are you getting anything like that?
I'm definitely perceiving the strongest emotion that flows through me in that way is when I meet other people and I say, "Oh my gosh, I see you, I know you, I feel you." Um, it happened with a man, you know, I think he was like a 70-year-old man. I think he was from Denmark. And, you know, 50 years of seeking and just beautiful, beautiful man. And I got off the phone and went to the kitchen and fell on my knees. And I just thanked the universe that I had a moment to connect with this man.
Yeah.
The reverence for me is, well, it's changing and shifting all the time, and it's different with different people. And I can sometimes see the lineage, the soul lineage, like what planet they're from and the trauma from the planets that they brought here to, you know, to work out, etc. But the light and the brilliance, it's different with every person. I haven't found myself yet. I'm not yet at a place where everything is the same. I think I still obviously have some healing to do, some hurdles to jump over, um, some human things to let go of. But the reverence, I probably started experiencing that probably not more than 2 years ago,
Mm.
probably just shy of 2 years ago, where I get off the phone with clients and I either go into my husband's office, or if his door's closed, you know, he's in a meeting, I'll go outside to my horses, or I'll just cry on the couch, and I cries of joy and elation and expansion, but also a sadness for everything that we've overcome to get to this place.
Hmm.
Have to specifically experienced a reverence and gratitude for being human. It is fleeting for me because
Hmm.
I still struggle with a bit of a disappointment in humanity. I mean, I can only be honest. I mean, people can see my energy if I'm going to say something that's not true.
Hmm.
Um,
No,
it
I appreciate your honesty. I think that's very. I mean, that's really, to me, the highest activators, or the the sincerity, the honesty, um, transparency, vulnerability. I mean, I was referring to um, reverence for self. I guess is how I'd have to put it. Reverence for for self, reverence for the human experience, and especially, and also, I shouldn't say especially, but also reverence for being Todd, being a human, which is feels, I can't prove it, but it feels like a series of lives, a long history, and then
Mhm.
reverence for being here now in this moment where these colossal changes are happening at beyond an exponential level, now quantum level. Like, I mean, the space of change and growth and expansion is becoming mind blowing. The pace of it, and then as it's happening, I'm getting this deeper and deeper. I did it last night, laying in bed. I talked about it on the last show. I was just like, I am so honored to be here. This is badass. Like, I'm talking to the whole universe. I mean, and again, along with that, you've got these parallels running of why can't I remember anything? Thoughts going by, not being able to focus. I mean, just, all the stuff that's, people are experiencing.
Well, yes. And in that we are our soul. I am my soul. I have experienced profound reverence for my own soul and for the journey that my soul has taken me on, and for the ways in which my soul has revealed to me past lives, um, as teaching tools, for the patience and for the love and for the dedication. I have experienced tremendous gratitude. As a human being, I'm pretty well known for saying sometimes I felt like I was in the ditch more than I was actually on the path.
Yeah,
But
you
in
had a rough one.
hindsight, then we can look back and say, well, all of those moments in the ditch really illuminated some incredible lessons and perspective that now when we look back, we can see multi-dimensionally why
Yeah,
we were there, and all of the chess pieces on the board around us, why they were there.
yeah,
So yes.
yeah. I think we'll get to a point where we're going to find out our greatest antagonists were actually the opposite from the the higher perspective. This seems to be a big thing, though. A good way to check ourselves is those things that we think are separate from us, that we don't feel we are, or those people we don't think we act like, or whatever, however you want to put it. Um, Nothing's being left out. It's an all or nothing kind of thing. You can't fake your way through it. You can't talk your way through it anymore. You got to walk the talk. I mean, things are changing, and like you're talking about, you canceling your course. I mean, that's reverence for self.
Mhm.
I mean, that energy is becoming bigger and bigger, as we talk, or in regard to, say, the collective, because more and more individuals are stepping into it. We're rebels.
More and more, I do hear people, they are being guided to go inward. And that was always a bit foreign to me until recently, where I have spent more time in being more isolated, really focusing more on my own journey. In the last couple of years, anyway, for the first 5-6 years, it was all journey and self-analysis and all of that, and then it was a really beautiful mix of the two. But now it's gone the pendulum has swung back to isolation, grounding, resting.
You told your story on here the first time, and all the things you had to go through, which was a lot of physical trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about your partner and their role. And I believe, because I can't remember, I don't even know how I can remember anything, but I believe, which is very common, of a high number of women that have come on here and been in a similar situation where they had a partner they were with who, and then went through a wake up, so to speak, and went on this path, and the partner's with them the whole time, and they're kind of like, well, they get it, but they don't talk about it, and they don't run in these circles, kind of thing. Does that describe your situation? Like this?
Well,
Well,
my husband, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, the reason I was asking, I was just wondering whether I was remembering that correctly or not, was has he feeling things that you're feeling? Is he getting electromagnetic, vibrations in his body, or is he seeing glitches, or is he experiencing anything like that as
Yes.
well?
He remarked the other day felt as if he was being reconstructed with Lego blocks. He woke up this morning and shared 2 dreams he had that were clearly messages for him from his soul about his journey. He has a full-time job. He works 10 hours a day or so in community, so he's really in that world most of the time. But when he's not, he's incredibly grounded, incredibly patient, and incredibly aware, and has come on the journey with me. Obviously not as full speed ahead as I did, but he has grown and changed and shifted, and he is definitely more aware of energy. He's more aware of self. He meditates. He goes on journeys. He's aware of archetypal
So
patterns.
he's in the lifestyle. He's in the lifestyle then. I mean,
He's surrounded by it. He
so
started wearing earbuds when he works. And I said to him one day, a few months ago, isn't that distracting, listening to music while you work? And he said, Ginny, I can't get any work done if I don't listen to music, because I hear you on the phone with your clients and it's so fascinating. I just want to listen to you. I won't get any work done if I don't listen to music.
Wow. Are you, I know you see a lot of clients, and you talked about the change and the speed that they're coming into alignment. And you stepped away from doing the course because you need to invest the time in yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are are you cutting everything back? I mean, how much time are you spending just on yourself every day?
Yes, I'm seeing far fewer clients. So no more than 2 clients a day, no more than 4 to 5 days a week. So I cut back considerably. I did.
Well, it makes you wonder, since this, because I mean, I can remember back to like 2017, starting to notice that, hey, Lionsgate's a thing. 1111 always seemed to be like somebody shot a starting pistol in the air, like something starts on 1111. And now this go around, we're in the middle of an eclipse period. I think the eclipse is in 3 days, and then we have the solstice, and then another power day after that. I mean, this, I don't even know. Some people have come on here and said, we're not going to recognize ourselves in a month or 2. That doesn't seem too far out there anymore.
I agree. Years ago, I never was conscious by moon cycles, astrological conjunctions and squares and eclipses. Those things never seemed to bother me before. But this year, it's very different. this year, I definitely feel a shift and a change.
Yeah, there's definitely something happening. No doubt. It's time to get jiggy with it.
I think we are.
I know. I don't think we have a choice. And it's cool. Cuts all the BS out. Everybody's the same. You know, everybody.
Right.
Even Joe Biden. Even Joe Biden or Donald Trump or whoever, Nancy Pelosi or Putin or the Pope or, you know, I mean, everybody puts their socks on the same way. So it was good seeing you again. Are you spending time with your horses?
Yep.
Yeah. How's that going? Have you seen a change, or have they said anything or expressed anything to you that's a little bit different?
Well, yes, they are definitely healing. So I generally adopt traumatized animals, or, you know, I sort of in the rescue area. And one of the horses I recently got within 5 months, I went out the other day to let him out after lunch, and he was standing in his stall with his head in the corner, and I said, "Come on, you ready to go?" And he said, "I'm meditating." And just a minute. So I walked around the barn for 5 or 10 minutes, kind of peeked back in, and he was still meditating. And I walked away and gave him another 5 or 10 minutes and came back, and he turned around and said, "You can come in now." And I walked up to him and he said, I'm learning from you. I'm doing my work. And he said, "Thank you for being patient with me."
For those of you who don't know, she's a horse whisperer, among many other things. So that's fascinating. Far out. Pretty soon we'll all be like that character that can talk to the animals. Thank you so much for coming back on and being so open with us. And it's good to see you again. Best to you and your family.
Thank you, Todd.
You take care, and I'll see you the next time I see you.
Alrighty, take care.
All right, you take care, and I guess we may come back on later today and do something freelance. I'm not quite sure, but if not, we'll see you guys tomorrow. And thank you, everybody, for your continued love and support and contributions. Allow us to keep doing this every day. Take care.